Hey everyone, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. After being excited talking about the fact that the Calgary Flames, yes, the Calgary Flames, nobody wants to play here anymore. At least it looked like that for a few days. That we signed Nazem Kadri to that 7-year deal, and of course I am excited about that move and given the player that we added to the lineup. So I made that video. However, in this video, in order to make Nazem Kadri come here and make the finances work under the salary cap, the Calgary Flames had to make another transaction. And I'm going to say definitely will signify an end of an era, which will put a bow on it. Because we already lost Johnny Gaudreau to unrestricted free agent. See, when he decided to go to the Columbus Blue Jackets, and then Matthew Tkachuk decided he didn't want to sign long-term when the Calgary Flames elected to do team arbitration. Well, I guess it was fitting that you might as well just say, Sean Monahan, it's time to move on from him, as the Calgary Flames did indeed decide to trade Sean Monahan to the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm going to say this is going to be a steep price, and we don't know what the eventual return is going to be, but essentially it was so we can move his salary and be able to sign Nazem Kadri and essentially overhaul the whole core. So I'm going to say Montreal, I'm going to say, did very, very well. And I think when we go over the conditions on this trade, I think your head's going to spin. And I have more of a disadvantage to try to understand it, because I have a learning disability. I think if you have not a learning disability, there was a time that, this is why it took a while, but essentially the Calgary Flames traded Sean Monahan, which had 1 year left on his deal, worth $6.375 million, going to the Montreal Canadiens, as well as a conditional first-round pick. And the conditions will go over, based on what I can find. It still has to be determined when that first-round pick is going to come here. Coming to the Calgary Flames' way is future considerations, but I think essentially if it was trading Sean Monahan and a future first-round pick, which right now it says the 2025 conditional pick, you can say easily right now it could be the first-round pick that we acquired from the Florida Panthers in the Matthew Tkachuk trade, so we didn't really trade it. It still was a pretty steep price to pay, just so we can move out money, so we can sign Nazem Kadri, and the fact that the Calgary Flames still have $2 million in cap space. So I'm going to say Montreal did very well. And it sounds like Sean Monahan, I mean, he's played through major injuries the last few years, why his production has not been up to snuff, scoring 30 goals. I mean, he did start off pretty well with the Calgary Flames. I think he has the franchise record right for overtime goals, I think 16. So he is in the record books, but he has battled through injuries, but he just plays through it, and I think maybe that's changed, because I did see the Sean Monahan Zoom call when he was talking to the Montreal media. It looked like he was a revived new player, which I'm going to say for Sean Monahan's case, he probably needs a change of scenery right now, something to refocus, refresh. He is from Brampton, Ontario, so it's close to home. Apparently he did cheer for the Montreal Canadiens growing up. But I'm going to say it's going to be definitely a different core for the Calgary Flames. And whoever makes those banners outside the Scotiabank Stadium, well, they're going to be busy making brand new banners, because we have no more Johnny Gaudreau, no more Matthew Tkachuk, no more Sean Monahan. If you would have said that on Green Garbage Bag Day, after we lost the Edmonton Oilers, saying Matthew Tkachuk, Sean Monahan, and Johnny Gaudreau, we're all not coming back next year, you would think the Calgary Flames overreacted and did a complete nuclear rebuild, because we need a knee-jerk reaction because we lost the Edmonton Oilers in the second round. But in fact, it was just how free he played out. And I'm going to say Brad Treliving has got to make a case for being the general manager of the year next year on this offseason, because essentially the quartet of players that we lost, I'm going to say, look at the 4 players, Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Sean Monahan, and Eric Branson. Those 4 have gone elsewhere, either through free agency or trade. And the 4 players we got in is in Jonathan Huberdeau, Nazem Kadri, as well as Kevin Rooney and Mackenzie Weegar. You might say the 4 players that we get brought in might actually make us a better team. So in some indirect way, do we thank the Edmonton Oilers for overhauling this core? And, a couple of years ago, many Flames fans, including myself, were thinking that this team needed that. And it's kind of, in a roundabout way, we got what we wanted. It's just interesting how it worked out. But let's pay attention to the conditions of the trade on this pick that is in play. So according to Cap Friendly and many sources, it'd be interesting to know how Brad Hughes and Brad Treliving and Kevin Hughes came up with this. But the conditional pick was, there's many scenarios. It says condition 1, if Calgary's pick in 2024, so this first round pick could be used in 2024, if it's between 20 and 32, Montreal can take that pick instead. So if Calgary's pick in 2024, which we hope it's in that range, I'm going to say the Calgary Flames, with the offseason moves, all the signings and trades we made, we are telling the NHL that we still intend to be a cup contender. And you might say we're just as good or even better at being a cup contender right now. So Montreal could take this trade in 2024, and that would make it just a little easier. Now this is going to get where it's silly. And so Montreal gets that choice in 2024 if that pick is there. Then another scenario is that in the event that Calgary receives Florida's 2025 pick from the Matthew Tkachuk trade, it says, number 1, if both Calgary and Florida picks are not in the top 10, because that was the condition of that first round pick that we got from the Florida Panthers, that if it was in the top 10, then the picks will get pushed off till 2026. So it says if both Calgary and Florida's picks in 2025 are not in the top 10, it says Montreal will receive the better pick. So if it's Calgary's own pick or Florida's pick that we receive, if it's whoever's the higher pick, Montreal gets to use that. You get that so far? And this is scenario 2. If Calgary's pick is in the top 10 and Florida's pick is not in the top 10, then Florida's pick will be used. So there's that scenario. Now, here's another scenario. And it says, in the event if Calgary does not receive Florida's first round pick at all, and it has sub-scenario. Calgary's pick not in the top 10, I said, and it says number 1, Montreal will receive the Calgary pick, and if Florida's pick is not in the top 10, is a better pick than Calgary's, then, and it was transferred to our team due to prior conditions, Montreal will also receive Calgary's 4th round pick in 2025. So Montreal could potentially get another draft pick out of this deal, depending on if we do not get that pick from Florida. And then it mentions, as a sub-scenario, if Calgary's pick is top 10, if Calgary's pick is first overall. Let's hope we don't get there, because I think we're building a team to still be competitive and get into playoffs. You still got to put in there, you never know. So if Calgary gets the first overall pick, Montreal will receive Calgary's 2025 third and the better of Calgary and Florida's 2026 first round pick. I guess that's if we don't get that Florida pick. And then the last part, it says, number 2, if Calgary's pick is 2nd to 10, so if it's a top 10 pick, Montreal will receive Calgary's 2025 first round pick. And that's if, Calgary's pick is not in the top 10, and if Calgary's pick is in the top 10 as well. That was hard to figure out. Just reading it and you're just trying to picture the scenario. But I'm going to say the Montreal Canadiens, if they get a healthier Sean Monahan who can produce offensively, he can either fit in with the new rebuild with the Montreal Canadiens, since I think the Montreal Canadiens right now, they're going to be one of those teams that could be in for the Connor Bedard sweepstakes. Especially if you're hearing that Carey Price and having knee issues might not actually play at all this year. And you might almost have to wonder if Carey Price's career might be almost over. But if he's not going to be playing this year, well, that $10.5 million will be in LTIR, so they can fit Sean Monahan's $6.375 million cap hit. And this is his last season. He's a free agent. Next season, or I should say, Montreal, they have a choice to either potentially envision Sean Monahan being a part of this core with their team in long term. Maybe he either bounces back and scores another 30-goal season. Maybe that's where those future considerations might come into play. But I think I think the fact that we just got the cap space to sign Nazem Kadri, I think that's all we wanted. But it's a steep price to pay, as you're giving up a first-round pick and maybe potentially a third-round pick, depending on, subsection, this scenario, that scenario, carry the 2, blah, 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 square root it. That's what those conditions feel like. But this is a trade that worked for both sides. Calgary moved on from Sean Monahan, and obviously he's done a lot for the Calgary Flames and in the community and grew up his NHL career, but I felt like he probably needs a change of scenery, and this was the opportunity for him. And the fact that this allowed Calgary to sign Nazem Kadri was definitely a huge price to pay. Is giving up a first and moving his contract. This could be a trade that maybe we could look back down the road and say we took a bath on it because of wanting to sign the Nazem Kadri, but kind of give or get. This is where our general manager has done better than some others, where some other teams were like, well, we wanted that free agent, but we couldn't move the money. Our general manager got the balls to actually find a way to move the money so we can sign players that we want, even if the grown-up decision was a tough one. And you got to admire Brad Treliving. I'm going to say you're going to have a good player on your hands. If he bounces back and is healthy, and even then, if Montreal is really, really, really in the toilet and sell the deadline, well, at worst, he can sign or move Sean Monahan at the deadline for assets at the deadline. So I'm going to say this would be a good trade for the Montreal Canadiens, despite doing us a favor. But what do you think of the trade? We had to do it to get Nazem Kadri here. I'm glad that we got Nazem Kadri. But $6.375 million is a little pricey to pay for a fourth-line center now. Now that we have Elias Lindholm and Nazem Kadri, the top two centers, with Michael Backlund. I mean, Kevin Rooney, essentially, who we acquired in free agency, will be that fourth-line center, but not costing that much money. Eventually I will make a video. Now that we pretty much made the biggest moves, I could probably now make a video recapping all the free agent news the Calgary Flames made, the depth signings, but I'm going to say definitely the headline needed its own video. I guess the last thing to say, do you have any Sean Monahan memories as a Calgary Flame? I don't really have one in particular, just, he's always was good at shooting at the top of the circle, scoring some overtime winners. I mean, it wasn't exciting. I guess you have that parody account, Boring Sean Monahan, but, he was definitely the consummate professional. Did a lot for the Calgary Flames and the Calgary community, but I think just what the business, where this team is going, what has happened already, I think we need to move on from him. And he's been rumored to be in many trades that almost happened over the years. I mean, this is the last piece of Jay Feaster that is off the team. The only player that's still on the Flames that's been here long term from a previous era is Michael Backlund. And that was Daryl Sutter's draft pick back in 2007. Basically, everybody else in the Flames in the system are all now under Brad Treliving's tenure, and you could say it's now totally his blueprint on the team. And you got to debate: are we better off now, considering what's happened and what Brad Treliving had to deal with? He did great, and I'm going to say he's definitely done some circles around some other general managers that they're missed out on some of the free agency or said, oh, I couldn't move the cap space. Well, most general managers, if they want to do something, they damn well find a way, and Brad Treliving did that. So that's all I have to say for the Nazem Kadri signing. which resulted in needing to trade Sean Monahan. We might potentially take a bath on this down the road, depending on how the picks plan out. Especially if the pick turns to be another Guy Lafleur or Henri Richard for the Montreal Canadiens and they rekindle another dynasty. But that still remains to be seen. But short term, we needed to do this. I think Calgary is still a cup contender, while Montreal right now, they're still figuring things out, and I think they need to do a nuclear rebuild, especially if all the injuries they have to deal with. They definitely overachieved in the All-Canadian division a couple years ago and got to the finals. So anyway, close out, say if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans' journey, home of the Flames, hitting Roughneck Stampeders as well as the Calgary FC, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my channel, recapping stories and games, and it's been a lot more off-season stuff to recap with the Calgary Flames this off-season. We've definitely been the most active and most newsworthy team in the off-season because of all the big names that were free agents and decided to go elsewhere, and what Brad Chillivan has done to try to recoup it to still be competitive. And I'm going to say we've done that, and we might be a little better. I also do have a variety of non-sports content, like personal blogs, tap to comedy. I also do share my experience on the road or a sport event, so if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, you know you do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I have my other social media links down in the description below. And of course I have my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I exclusively put my short form content on there, so I appreciate that I subscribe both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So I guess I'll close out, say thanks for everything you did for the Calgary Flames, Sean Monahan. Best of luck with the Montreal Canadiens, minus when you play the Calgary Flames. Actually, let's quickly pull up the calendar. Been having to do this a lot this off-season on when we're going to see players again. So I guess now it's Sean Monahan's turn. When do we get to see Sean Monahan again? And I'm going to say he's definitely another player that deserves another resounding standing applause when he comes back to Calgary. So the first time the Calgary Flames will get to see Sean Monahan, looks like we're going to have to wait until, well, the first time, well, December. And actually, Sean Monahan will be coming to Calgary first, as Matthew Tkachuk and Johnny Gaudreau will see him on the road first. The case with Sean Monahan, he'll be making his return to the Sea of Red at the Saddledome on Thursday, December the 1st. So that's when Sean Monahan will come here for the first time as a Montreal Canadien. And then on Monday, December the 12th, the Calgary Flames will be going to Montreal, where we'll get to see Sean Monahan in Montreal. So in December is when you will get to see Sean Monahan for the first time, not as a Calgary Flame. He is still going to wear red. He's still going to wear a jersey that has a C on the front, but not the same C. But I'm going to say, yep, thanks for everything you did for the Calgary Flames, Sean Monahan. Best of luck when you're not playing the Flames, but hopefully your rehab's going well and find the love of the game again. And you were definitely the cap casualty we need, so we can do some other business to improve the team now. So I just want to say, go Flames, go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.